So, how did it all start?
When I was a child, it was a very happy childhood. I was spoiled by my father. But then on May 20th, 1956, I was stricken with poliomyelitis because besides being paralyzed, I couldn't breathe. The Mexican aviation with my father decided to take me to Mexico City so I could be treated with polio because in the United States, it was very, very expensive for me to be moved. And when I was in Mexico City, I got worse. I could not swallow, and I lost from 86 pounds to 39 pounds, and I was a skeleton. So the doctors told my dad that I was going to die. But my father would not think of the negative. He was always positive. And he told me he was going to bring me to the United States. He didn't know how, but he did it. My name is Emma Eivers. I was born Emma Margarita Flores Victoria. I'm 78 years old. I live in Long Beach, California.
How was your condition during that time?
Well, at the time I had polio, it was called bulbar polio that affected my upper extremities. And I was in the iron lung. Before I got polio, I was a dancer, ballet, and I was supposed to be at a theater dancing as a leader on the 28th of May, 1956. So when I got polio on May 20th, I told my dad, "You think I'll be out of here so I can go and dance on the 28th? And my father didn't say too much about it. I was in the iron lung, and I told my father, "Why did they put me inside a suitcase?" I called the iron lung a suitcase. I said, "Why am I in here?" I didn't understand that I couldn't breathe. Without the iron lung, I didn't understand many things. But I thought I was going to get well soon, just like you get a cold. I didn't know it was going to affect me for the rest of my life.
And how is your current condition?
Okay, right now I have what is called an EVO positive pressure respirator. Positive pressure meaning that it blows air into my lungs, inflates my lungs. My muscles, they're paralyzed from my breathing heart. The intercostal muscles, which are the chest muscles. I have a weak diaphragm, and I breathe with abdominal muscles.
She got paralyzed from her waist up because of the polio. She can't breathe like everybody else because of her muscles paralyzed. So the muscles that we use to breathe, she can't use them to breathe. For that reason, she had the tracheotomy performed in her throat, and she uses a machine. So the work that her muscles can do, the machine does it for her.
Now, you can't use most of your body. How did you find a way to overcome your limitations?
I work with my toes. I use my computer. I've typed a lot. Before I had a computer, I had a regular electric typewriter. And I did a lot of typing. I even wrote a book. The book is called Nuestras Almas. Plus, I'm almost done with my autobiography.
In what other ways have you found a solution to your condition?
I had many wonderful caregivers that I'm very thankful to have. What do they do for me? Everything. Feed me, bathe me, toilet. All personal needs have to be done for me because my arms are completely paralyzed. And even though I can do things with my feet, I learned how to sweep, I can mop, I can rake leaves. I remember turning the trash cans down flat so I can push all the leaves inside the trash can. As I rake all the leaves in front of my house, the only problem is that because of my breathing has gotten worse, I'm not able to do all the things that I used to do, like rake leaves, make my bed, and pick up my clothes and do this and do that. I can't do that anymore, so I need more care and help. Mostly because of my breathing. I get tired, very short-winded. I don't have that much air in me. I used to have 1,100 cc's of air in my lungs in a full breath, but now I have a lot less, maybe half of that.
She had two brothers, my dad and her brother Gabriel, but he passed away when he was 3. He had typhoid. Then my dad and her were the only brother and sister that survived. But a couple of years ago, my dad passed away too. So we all thought that she was gonna pass away a long time ago. The reason she learned how to write with her feet was because my dad encouraged her. He built this little wood stand and he brought it on her feet. He told her to start playing with her feet and try to draw, and that's how she started to learn how to write. Yeah, and so my dad, he did everything he could to help my grandpa and my grandma save my aunt's life.
Sus papás no la querían, no la quisieron, la adoraron. Muy contentos de que ella había superado la adversidad y tenía vida, al igual que a su hermano, ¿verdad? Que siempre estaba pendiente de ella y que ella siempre amó muchísimo a su hermano, Armando, mi esposo. Se doctoró en Ingeniería Civil, con menciones honoríficas, como director de computadoras, catedrático, investigador y demás. Y también aquí en la universidad, aquí de Mexicali, donde acaba de fallecer hace 2 años, dando su trabajo y su esmero de él durante 44 años. Un científico importante, el cual deja un legado grande a la humanidad, y independientemente de eso, se le trata de hacer un homenaje en la propia universidad pronto, reconociendo su valía.
Have you faced any other frustrations given your situation?
No, well, the other frustrations, dealing with people who do not understand my situation, that I have to ask for everything. There's a hair in my eye, allergy, and my nose is running. I need to wipe my nose. So some caregivers get very frustrated and tired because I have to ask for everything. But they go, well, what happens if you did not move your arms, or your more arms, tie down your arms? And see how many times you would ask for help. So they're not in my shoes. Many times my workers, something falls on the floor, and so they don't have to bend over. I pick it up with my toes and raise it up and give it to them on their hands. He goes, oh, you don't have to do that. We can get it. And I go, that's okay. I like to help too.
She has a positive attitude, I think, about everything and about the world. And that's something that we all should learn from her too. Not to get frustrated when you can't do something by yourself. To understand your situation and rely on other people to do it for you, you know, because that must be a quality that we all need to have, you know. Well, she looks at the world different than we all do. She tends to think of every day like it's gonna be her last day, and so she just lives the most of it. But she also inspires me because Nothing can stop her from doing anything she wants. Like to see somebody that is handicapped, she can move her arms. There is nothing that she can do. So that really, I thought that was very inspiring. We all think it's some sort of like a miracle that she's still alive. And it's ironic that she's the only survivor of her family, because first she lost her brother, her youngest brother, then my grandpa died, and then my grandmother, my dad, and so.
Bueno, de que ha sufrido, sí sufrió bastante, pero ha triunfado. Es de las mujeres más sobresalientes de América. Figura en un libro, la han entrevistado muchas veces. Hasta ha habido la oportunidad de hacer hasta una película de ella, ¿verdad? Porque ella hace cosas que muchas veces las personas normales hacemos. Y hasta la fecha es muy feliz. Pero ella no se ha doblado, a pesar ya de la edad que ya tiene, ¿verdad? Que ya es algo alta. Pero aún así, ella como si tuviese 20 años. Para ella los años no pasan. Aparte que se conserva muy bien, muy guapa y más que nada muy humana. Y yo me siento muy orgullosa de ella. Creo que no habrá jamás una persona igual que ella. No. Ese molde no se vuelve a repetir. Eso sí lo puedo asegurar.
Let's continue with your story. Your father had just brought you to the United States. What happened then?
So they told him that he had to take me back to Mexico. Even though I had a visa, I was legal, and he was legal. My father said, I cannot take you back. You'll die over there. So I'm going to disappear for a couple of weeks, but I'll be back for you. You're not worried. If they ask questions, you don't know where I am because you don't know what I'm going to do. So a couple of weeks passed, and then he came back. They reported him right away to the immigration department. When they got there, my father took out a briefcase, put the papers on the table, and said, she's an American citizen. She was adopted. My father put me up for adoption so I could stay in the United States and save my life. I was adopted by Earl Walter Edwards and Flores Edwards. It was my father's half-sister that he found. I was an American citizen by adoption. I was turning 12 years old, but then they told me that because I was so severe with my polio problems, they sent me to Rancho Los Amigos, a hospital in Downey, California. It was there at Rancho that I learned how to walk and how to breathe and how to swallow, and I recuperated very, very fast. I was totally in the hospital for 6 or 7 years. And I didn't speak English when I came to the United States, but I learned English at the hospital in a couple of months. I went to school at a Catholic high school by the name of Pius X High School. The school gave me a test to see what grade I was. I only had gone up to the 5th grade in Spanish. It was a miracle that they gave me a test, and I passed everything, and they placed me in the 11th grade. The Dr. Barris said, well, you can only go half a day because you're going to get too tired. But then, my senior year, I said, I want to go the full day and go to the prom and go to the football games, and I want to do everything. The hospital said, no, she cannot go to school because we have a school here at the hospital. So I didn't go to school, and I would cry because I wanted to go. Then my girlfriends, my classmates from Pius, went to look for me, and I said, I haven't gone because I don't have a ride. And they told me, don't worry, we'll pick you up. I went dancing, I went to football games. When I finished my senior year at Pius, My friends told me, we're going to college, Emma. What are you going to do? So I said, I guess I'm going to college too. I want to go to college. You live in the hospital, but how are you going to do it? I go, I don't know, but I'll go to college. On the loudspeaker, they said, Emma, report to the principal office. And I go, oh my goodness, what's going to happen now? I don't know what I did. So I went. He said, we got the results of your college entrance exam. And you got one of the highest scores, and you got your scholarship. You got 2 scholarships, one to USC and one to Immaculate Heart College, paid for 4 years each. And I couldn't believe it. That was so true. Because I learned English at the hospital. And I missed a lot of schooling. And I'm talking about years. I moved out of the hospital and went straight into the dorms at Immaculate Heart College. And I lived there for 4 years until I got my Bachelor of Arts degree. I didn't have a place to go after I graduated because my family lived in Mexicali and my adopted parents died. They were elderly. And I decided I have to do something with my life. So I decided to take the bus and go to Los Angeles State University and enroll for my master's degree. Before I got my master's, I was reading the bulletin board again in the hallway, and it said, exchange students to go to France. I applied, and I got a scholarship to go to France to study at l'Université de Montpellier. A man by the name of Jean Larrère was renting a room across from my hallway. I talked to him and I told him that I didn't know what I was going to do after I graduated and finished my schooling. He thought about it, and the next day he said, I know what you're going to do. You are going to come with me. We're going to my house, and my sister Francoise is going to help you. We're going to travel. How about that? Jean didn't want me to be left all alone without me knowing who was going to help me, so he saved my life. Oui, Jean?
Oh, Emma, oui.
Oui, c'est moi. Et toi, comment vas-tu? But my friends from the United States, from Immaculate Heart, had sent me money, and I bought a car. We went 1 month to Spain, another month to Italy. We went everywhere. It was so nice. It was a dream come true that he took me everywhere.
We don't look at our potential the same way, until you see somebody else like Emma, that she has gone beyond imagination. Who would have thought that she was gonna do all the things she has done in her life? Go to school, go to college, fly on a plane to France by herself, despite her, condition. Besides having her condition from the polio, she's also a cancer survivor. She had breast cancer twice already. So she had surgery one time and then she was fine, but then the cancer came back. And so she had another surgery. So she's, a miracle, a living miracle. There's nothing that can, get on her way. And, years don't go by her. She just looks the same. and she's always smiling and happy, and I don't know, she's my inspiration.
Have your problems ever stopped you from accomplishing your goals?
Never. My goals were always accomplished because my determination and positive thinking. Nothing would stop me. I remember when I was going to go for France, or people saying, oh, how can you go? Can't breathe. You can't walk too long, and then you get tired. What happens if you die? And I wasn't afraid of dying. I'm going to live. And I said, nothing's going to stop me. And when people tell me you can't do this and you can't do that, I'm like, why not? Of course I can do it. And if I can't do it, I try. If people try, anyone try, you're not a failure. You'll never be a failure if you try. You're a winner.
That being said, what do you think has been your biggest accomplishment?
My children. I was told that I was only at like 50% of surviving if I had a baby, and I go, I'm not worrying, I'm going to survive. God is with me and He's helping me all the way. I got pregnant the first time and had a miscarriage. I was upset because I thought I was never going to get pregnant again. When Sasha was born, I prayed to God and I said, I don't want Sasha to be the only child. I want her to have a brother or a sister. And I said, oh, please have mercy on me and give me another child. Even though people said I'm going to die by having children, and He did. I had Jonathan, and I'm very happy because my faith above all. And even though I got scared because sometimes I couldn't breathe when I was pregnant, my husband was so supportive by my side.
Your husband, tell us more about him.
John Lawrence Eivers. Okay. He worked at Rancho Los Amigos Medical Center when I met him. He was working in the psychology department. When I got very tired by staying up late at night working. I ended up in the hospital because I wasn't resting enough. When I went in the hospital, I was lying down in bed, covered up to my neck, and I saw this handsome man walking down the hall with a whole bunch of charts, met me in bed. He thought I was completely paralyzed. What do you do? What's your occupation? And I go, well, certainly not this bed covered up to my neck. I said, I'm studying and teaching at USC. So he believed in me. He said, that is wonderful. You know what? I'm going to be your counselor as a health adjustment because I think you're overdoing it. He said to me, what is your rush? And then he made me think and think. He said, you're right. I have to take care of myself. I have to have priorities, and he helped me a lot. I was discharged, went back to Mexicali to spend Christmas. But before I left, he said to me, maybe have your phone number because I would like to check on you, see how you're doing. So he called me every day at 9 o'clock. And one day, the door, I was already in pajamas, my hair up in curlers and no makeup, no nothing. The doorbell rang and my caregiver said, somebody's at the door. I go, I don't know. Go check. And it was him. And he said, my presence was better than a phone call. And he came, and that's when we started going out together. We dated each other for 1 year. We got married on January 10th, 1976.
So you guys brightened each other's lives?
Complimented each other. At the age of 2, he got bronchiectasis. It's a lung disease. So I didn't expect him to live. And then it turned into emphysema. Secondary. He went work as a housekeeper, taking care of 6 children when he started. He knew what a caregiver had to do. He was the president of the Long Beach Resources Center. He worked for SCAN, Senior Care Action Network. He was very, very famous. He was a very, very knowledgeable man. Super intelligent, very loving, very caring. As a matter of fact, twice a year, Easter and Thanksgiving, he would take Sasha and Jonathan out to feed the homeless on the street. And he was always helping people. All the time, my kids grew up like that, helping the poor people and disabled and everybody.
You don't have to answer this, but what happened to him?
His lungs just stopped working, so he died. Because his emphysema progressed, he only had a quarter of a lung left to breathe. But before he died, he knew he was going to die. He said, I worry about you because I'm going to leave you with the kids small. I want to stay with you until they grow up, but he says, come, I want to teach you everything we have to do. You need to learn how to pay the mortgage. You need to know. Let me teach you what you have to do after I pass. And I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to sit down with him because I was scared. I didn't want to suffer. I didn't want to get upset. I didn't want to be sad. So when he died, I had to do it all by myself without him by me. And then one day, I was dreaming. I felt that he came into the room and sat down next to me. And I go, how am I doing? And he said, you are doing just fine.
You know, they just live life in a different way than we all do because they knew that maybe tomorrow they wouldn't be here. Like when she got married with my Uncle John, the doctors told them that they were going to just live like another 10 years. So they bought an RV and then they started traveling because, supposedly, and then they made all the arrangements because they were going to pass away. When she was pregnant with Jonathan, I remember my dad being really mad because he told her, you almost die and we did so many things to save your life and now you're just gonna risk it having a baby, another baby. But she told him, if John and I passed away, we don't want our daughter to be by herself. So that's why they had another child. First, he was in a coma for a long time, like for a month. And I will go to the hospital every day and I will talk to him. And in the end, when he woke up, he told me he could listen to me. He recovered and everything after that. But then all of a sudden, he just died. Like he really wanted to continue living, So he did everything he could to keep going. My aunt was left alone with the two kids. And that was really tough. She was a handicapped single mother with two kids. And Sacha and Jonathan, they were kids. Like they were like, I don't know, 7 years old or something like that. So that was a lot of responsibility for my aunt that she had to raise those kids by herself. Yeah, and she did a wonderful job. One day he told me, because I had a lot of difficulties in life, but he told me, you, instead of like going and asking for help, you're trying to get ahead by yourself. And so he made me look at how maybe I was also a strong woman, and that I could do anything I needed to do, that everything was possible for me. So.
If you could talk to a lost loved one again, who would you talk to and what would you say?
Well, it would be first my parents, my mother for her prayers and for teaching me my faith to be faithful to God. And I thank my father, first God, and my father for saving my life in Mexico City when I was dying. There was no hope for me. And for bringing me to the United States and for giving me up for adoption to become an American citizen because he knew he had to save my life. and my brother, who always had faith in me and was always proud of me and always talked to his students at the university where he thought that he had a sister, and told him all the positive things that I've done and how proud he was of me.
Que Dios sabe por qué hace las cosas, por qué se llevó a mi esposo, por qué se llevó a mi hijo cuando todavía estaba con mucha juventud, que cumplía apenas 55 años y se me fue. También un muchacho muy inteligente, con maestría en ingeniería civil. Fue un muchacho muy capaz, pero no tuvo muy buena salud. Fueron personas de un gran servicio para los demás, que bastante avanzaron en lo intelectual y en todo. Esa fue una de las cualidades grandes de mi esposo, que en paz descanse, también de mi hijo, y Emma también lo es, sí. Para todas las personas que sienten o que piensan que porque tengan alguna cierta discapacidad ya no pueden seguir sobreviviendo o salir adelante en la vida, ¿verdad? En sus propósitos y en sus anhelos, no. Ella es un ejemplo grandísimo para toda la humanidad. De veras, al expresar todo esto, dan ganas de llorar. Y yo no soy persona de llorar.
Do you have anything to say to Emma?
Sí, que la quiero mucho. Que la quiero mucho, que la admiro mucho y que le deseo que Dios le dé más años de vida por todas las personas que ya no están con ella y que estuvieron al igual que ella. Que Dios le dé más vida para que pueda convivir feliz con los suyos hasta que mi Padre Santísimo le dé su final.
You're invincible. 9 lives, polio survivor, battling cancer, partially paralyzed, but you still managed to finish school, teach, travel the world, get married and have a family, outlive your own family, and still be standing, stronger than ever. So, what are some of the most important things you've learned in your life?
Well, I learned that I should always be thankful to God, number one, for my life. Number two, that I need to learn how to be self-sufficient and never to give up and always try to do everything in a positive way. I believe that I have accomplished everything, all my goals, and that I'm extremely happy with my life.
What do you think is the most important thing in your life?
Okay, the most important thing in life, beside my faith, my positive thinking, are my children and my grandchildren, which I love so much.
Do you have anything to say to your grandchildren?
Yes, I want them to always be positive, studious, continue with their education, don't give up. Don't get involved with drugs. Don't get involved with alcohol, because that just ruins your life. So always be understanding, have compassion of other people, and try to be strong, have discipline in your studies, obedience, and much love to everyone.
Gathering all of your experiences, are there any messages you want to convey to the world?
Yes. Don't give up. Never give up. Try to do what you plan. Keep on trying and trying. You will succeed. And remember one thing, you are not a failure if you try. And also patient, be patient. Remember what I said, discipline and determination, and have courage. Study, don't be lazy, because it is through education that you're gonna succeed.
We couldn't have done it without you, Dia. You're leaving a good mark on the world. And now it's time for us to leave ours.